Well, sunshine can have the greatest effect on our mood. Look at the week yesterday. It was beautiful.
And look how good a mood most of us are in today.
And in the same way, wet and wild conditions can dampen our spirits and at their most extreme wreak complete havoc.
Yeah, with so many advancements in technology, it begs the question, can we ever control the weather? Now, we have some surprising predictions for you, but first, hold on to your hats. Here's weather report from the future.
Floods.
Miami South Beach is underwater.
Storms.
The tide is going to come up to about here.
And scorching heat. These may look like bloopers, but they're actually scenarios of what's in store weather-wise by the year 2050.
These days, as you know, we tend to have big-time problems with the flooding, no matter how far away this hurricane is offshore.
As part of the United Nations campaign to draw attention to the warming planet, TV presenters from all over the world have created imaginary but potentially realistic weather conditions. And while the topic of climate change is still hotly debated, we may need to brace ourselves if these forecasts are anything to go by.
Well, for more, we're joined live by Futurist Chris Riddell in Melbourne. Good morning to you,
G'day,
Chris. What do you make of these extreme weather forecasts for the year 2050?
I think they're really interesting. I think the point here that I look at is that we've got access to more data now and more insights than we ever have. And I think if we look at some of the predictions that are coming up because of the access to that data, we're actually still starting to see some really meaningful insights. And they're pretty interesting. If we look at some of those forecasts, what are we going to do about it and where is the world going from here?
Yeah, now, hey, you're starting to see some countries developing their own ways to control the weather. Talk us through some of those projects.
Yeah, Dubai, Larry, has been doing some testing in a couple of areas over the last few years, and it's nothing new. They've been putting these charged ions out in the desert to actually generate rainstorms, and they've actually had quite a lot of success with this. They've spent over $10 million in one of the tests. They've generated over 50 rainstorms through those tests they've been doing, and I think the message here is they're trying to actually look at how they can develop and control the climate, because Dubai is such a popular tourist destination in the world, and it sets a really interesting message going forwards.
Right. How successful have the experiments in Dubai been?
They've been really successful, Carly, and I think what we'll see further is more investment being spent in those spaces to actually continue further tests. Beyond those tests they've been doing, they're actually building this underdome city where there'll be hotels and shopping malls and places to live, and they expect around 200 million people a year to visit this climate-controlled dome in Dubai. And Dubai, as I say, is known as being a tourist hotspot of the world, and they certainly want to maintain that going forwards, and they want to make sure that people continue to visit all year round. And Dubai has some of the most extreme temperatures in the world, and imagine if you could guarantee a certain climate 365 days a year. That is an incredible prospect.
Gee, it'd be a great TV show, wouldn't it? All those people stuck in a dome. Hey, if a country can control its own climate, what are the pros and cons? Because, as we all know, we like Mother Nature, but she can be a cranky old cow sometimes.
I think it's a really interesting question there, Larry, and I think going forwards, if we look at not just at a country level, if we can control our own climate, but down to a city or individual personal level as well, there's pros and cons. I mean, the pros of it obviously is being able to guarantee the climate and the comfort level that you have on a day-to-day basis. Some of the cons are obviously that may just be restricted to an elite few for the first few years whilst that comes through, but I see some great opportunity here for weather as a service, if you want, going forward. If you imagine at the moment we have water that's delivered to our homes, which is a natural resource. Imagine if going forwards in the future you could have a climate control system where a climate control provider gives you access to be able to do that within your own home.
Yeah, because you're talking about individuals having their own devices to control climate. Isn't that just what air conditioning is? I mean,
it's a really interesting thought. I mean, at the moment, obviously, we can do it by air conditioning on that level, but imagine if you could control things like precipitation, rain levels within your garden, and temperature outside of your house as well. If we look at some of the technology that's out there, the iPhone 6 has just been announced in the last few days. It's got more technology packed into it than ever. With all of these devices connected around the world, we call this the Internet of Things. The ability to be able to collect data from billions of devices all at one time around what weather patterns are doing going forward is a very, very real prospect.
Okay, so until 2050, we're just stuck with the sprinkler and the air conditioning in the house. We'll have to make do. Hey, interesting chat. Lots for us to think about this morning. Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure. Thank you very much.
It's the one thing that affects us all, isn't it? It's the weather. Doesn't matter.
Yes.
It's profound.
Very, very
so
profound.
That's as good as I've...
9 years at university studying meteorology, and that's all you got for us?
Well, it is one topic that affects every single person.
It is,
go.
yep. So you're not going to get that on any other TV show at this time.
Stop.
In
It's
just-
Monday, and we're nearing the end of the show. Well, not really.
Yeah,
but soon.
there'll be more pearls of wisdom for you shortly.